Welcome to Joystick, my friends. In this video we are going to solve a Leetcode problem which is majority element. You are going to learn an important algorithm as a part of the solution of this problem, which is why you must watch this video till the end. Let's now take a look at its problem statement. You are given an array nums. In our question we are going to consider these elements inside the array nums. The ask is to find the majority element. And what's the majority element? A majority element is the element that appears more than n by 2 times in the array, where n is the size of the array. So a majority element is the element that has more than n by 2 occurrences in this array nums. Now the question also says that the majority element always exists in the array nums. It is not possible that a majority element doesn't exist in the array nums. It always exists. We are going to solve this question using Java, and we are going to solve it using two methods. So let's discuss the two approaches one by one. But before that, if you are new to my channel, then hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, because that way you won't miss out on these coding tutorial videos I create for you. Here is the array nums that I have put over here. The first approach is quite simple, by the way. We'll sort this array first in ascending order. So let's first do that. There you go. This is the sorted version of the array. Now, since it is given that the majority element always exists in this array nums, and the majority element is the one which is present for more than half the size of the array. Hence, the element present at an index which is equal to half the length of the array must be the majority element, right? In our case, the element at index 3, which is half the length of the array, is 2, and indeed it's the majority element because it is present 4 times. The half of the length of the array is 3. 4 is greater than 3. That's why 2 is the majority element. Now let's quickly code this approach in Java. I am in my IntelliJ IDE and I have already created a class named majority element, in which I have created the main function. So what I'm going to do right now, I am going to create an array and assign the elements that we have seen during our discussion into that array. So it will be int, and we are going to call this array nums. After the equals to sign, we are going to write new int, and within curly braces we'll write 2 comma 2 comma 1 comma 1 comma 1 comma 2 comma 2. All right, this is array nums declared and initialized. Now the next thing that we are going to do is sort this array. So we are going to use the sort method of the arrays class. So for that we are going to write arrays dot sort, and within brackets we are going to pass nums. All right, I'll have to import this class from java.util package. So for that I'm going to press option enter, and IntelliJ is going to do the work for me. So this line of code is going to sort the array. The next thing that I will do is print the majority element using system.out.println. And how am I going to print the majority element? I am going to simply write nums, and all I have to do is write within square brackets nums dot length by 2. Okay, I'm sure that you must be clear why we are doing this. So this is the first approach. So simple, 2 lines of code. Now I'm going to run the program, and let's see the output. It has to be 2. There you go. The output is 2, and that's the majority element. We saw that in our discussion. All right, so that was method number 1. Now let's look at method number 2. The second method involves solving this question using Boyer-Moore majority voting algorithm. The Boyer-Moore algorithm is used to find the majority element from an array that has more than n by 2 occurrences. This algorithm works in O(n) time complexity and O(1) space complexity. It is based on a fact that if the majority element has n by 2 occurrences, then the rest of the elements will occur less than n by 2 times. So now let's understand the algorithm. We first declare a variable candidate, and we also declare one more variable votes. And we start from the first cell of this array. The first element, which is 2 over here, becomes the candidate. And since it has occurred one time, hence we assign 1 to the votes variable. Now we move to the next cell. Here the element is the same as the candidate element. So what we do, we add 1 to the value of the votes variable. So the value of the votes variable becomes 2 now. Okay. Now we move to the next cell, and here the element is not the same as the candidate element. So what we do here, we decrease the value of the votes variable by 1. So the value of the votes variable becomes 1 now. The idea is that when the elements are same as the candidate element, then we increase the winning priority of the candidate element, and when an element is found that is not equal to the candidate element, we decrease the count. That means we decrease the winning ability of the same candidate, and we keep decreasing the votes when we find different elements. So in the next iteration, where the element is 1 and it is not equal to the candidate element, which is 2, we further decrease the count of this votes variable by 1. Now the votes variable becomes 0. Now since the value of the votes variable has become 0, listen very carefully. This means that there is another element which has the same number of occurrences as the candidate element till now, till here. Okay. Since the majority element has more than n by 2 occurrences, hence this is not possible. This is not possible that the candidate element has the same number of occurrences as any other element. So the moment the value of the votes variable becomes 0, we change the candidate element. So the value of the votes variable became 0 over here. So in the next iteration, whichever element is found, that element becomes the candidate element now. So the candidate element becomes 1 because 1 is the element in the next iteration, and the value of the votes variable will now become 1 again. We move to the next element now. It is 2. So this time we need to increase the winning ability of the current candidate, which is 1. Hence the value of the votes variable will become 0 again. And now we move to the next element, which is actually the last element of this array nums. But the value of the votes variable is 0. So this signifies that the candidate element has to be changed. So the candidate element 1 will be replaced by the current element, which is 2. So let's change the candidate element from 1 to 2, and the value of the votes variable will become 1. Since we have reached the end of this array, you must note that 2 has again become the candidate. This non-linearity exists because the array nums is not sorted. Now till here, the algorithm proved that the occurrences of 1 and 2 are equal because the votes variable became 0 again over here. Okay. But from this element, the candidate became 2 again, and the iterations are now over. This means that 2, which is the last remaining candidate, is the majority element. You can run one more loop and check the count of the last remaining candidate. It will always be greater than n by 2, where n is the size of the array. This is the beauty of this algorithm. To clearly understand it, you must try it out on a few more use cases. Now let's code this Boyer-Moore algorithm in Java. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to do is to declare two integer variables. Number one will be votes, which we are going to initialize to 0. Number two will be the candidate variable, which we are going to initialize to -1. Then we are going to start a for loop, which is going to start from the 0th index and it's going to run all the way till the last index of the nums array in steps of 1. Okay, now within the body of the for loop we are going to write an if else. So our first condition within if will be if the value of the votes variable is 0. Then what we are going to do, assign to candidate the current element of the array nums and change the value of the votes variable to 1. Okay, these two lines of code are going to handle the case when the value of the votes variable is 0. Now when an array element is the same as the candidate element, then what we are going to do, we are going to increase the value of the votes variable by 1. So we are going to write the code for that within else if. So it will be else if, and as its condition we are going to write candidate comparison operator nums I. All right, so when an array element is same as the candidate element, then we are going to increment the value of the votes variable by 1. Now if an array element is not equal to the candidate element, that means if an array element is not the same as the candidate element, then we need to decrease the value of the votes variable. So we are going to write the code for that within else. Okay, within the block of this else we are going to simply write votes and we are going to decrease its value by 1. That's it. The last step of this program is to simply print the value of the candidate element after the for loop. So we are going to write system.out.println and within brackets we are going to simply type candidate, and that's it. The program is over. Let's now run the program and check the output. All right, you can see that the program has given the majority element as 2 using the implementation of the Boyer-Moore algorithm. So with this we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed learning this problem of majority element from Joey's Tech. Do let me know in the comment section if you got any doubts related to this problem. I look forward to helping you with programming and algorithms. And only for this video, goodbye and take very good care of yourself.